Dhanajana Shalakaya Chakshunaminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So, this is a shloka from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the topmost theistic science, explaining fully the science of the existence of the spirit soul. This is very much uncommon in the Western world, especially. People, they have completely forgot about spiritual life. They simply engage in sense gratification, not better than the animals. The value of human life is that in the human form of life, as opposed to the other different varieties of bodies, we can understand who we are, who is God, and what is the relationship. So, as Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, he says in the purport, the Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization on the basis of the non-existence of the material body. The material body, why is it called non-existent? Why we say non-existent? Because the material body always changes. Deinasmin yatadihi komanam yuvanam jara tatadihantara prapti dhiras tatra namuyati. Dhiras, the word dhira means a sober person, self-realized person. He is not disturbed by the bodily changes. He is not concerned about death or birth or old age or disease. This is called a real person of knowledge. Person who is confused, who is bewildered by the different workings of the material energy, it cannot be learned. When we speak of knowledge, knowledge does not change. Knowledge is factual. Belief might change. I might have one belief one day, another belief another day, but that doesn't, the faith has nothing to do with knowledge, real knowledge. Real knowledge doesn't change, and it is universal. It is universal. Not that this is an Indian knowledge, this is a Christian knowledge, this is an American knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge, just like gold. If I'm a fool, then I will refuse. Oh, this gold is from Africa, I will not take because it's African gold. If I'm interested, if I'm a very intelligent businessman, I'm going to take advantage of the gold from wherever it is coming from. So similarly, if we're truly men of knowledge, then we should not be biased. We should not be biased. Oh, this is not my country. This is from India. This is some Hindu. This is that. This is that. This is that. These are the obstacles we have to overcome before we become qualified to understand Vedic knowledge. See, just like in any field, even in modern universities, there must be some kind of a qualification the student has. At least he should know how to read and write. If he doesn't know how to read and write, what business he has to applying for a course in McGill or Concordia University? He cannot. He must have a preliminary qualification. Similarly, the preliminary qualification to understand Vedic knowledge, to understand the spirit soul, the Supreme Lord, and the relationship between the two, is that we have to give up this animalistic endeavor of trying to struggle for existence in this material world. This body will be finished. Will be finished. That is a fact. No one was able to preserve his body for time immemorial. There was no such a case. Even the big, breatharians, those who are living just simply by eating, breathing air, they don't eat, they don't drink, even they have to give up the body ultimately. Why? Because this is the nature of the body. As opposed to the spirit soul, the body is always changing. Always changing. Just like I had a body of a small child in the beginning. I had a small hands, I had a small legs, small head. I was wearing diapers, right? Now I don't have to wear diapers because my body has changed. My body is different. And in a small baby body, there's no sex desire. There's no sex desire, right? But when the body changes, then the sex desire appears slowly in puberty. So this body is no longer here. The baby body I had at a certain point is no longer here. I transferred myself into a teenager's body, then a grown-up body, and ultimately I will have to take shelter of an old body. Now, if a fool, number one, says that I do not believe in this reincarnation nonsense, what is this? I will not grow. I will not grow. I don't believe in this. I will not submit. It is not a question of belief. You have to change your body. This is the point. You have to become an old man or old woman. You have to become old. You cannot refuse. This is the difference between a belief and science, factual knowledge. So this Vedic knowledge is not a belief. It is a factual knowledge of spiritual life. So why the body is non-existent? Because it's ever changing. Even the baby body is changing. There's a toddler, there's a body just which comes out of the womb of the mother, then there's a toddler, then he's trying to crawl, then he's walking. So all these different phases of growth, they're all different bodies. They're all different bodies. People usually say that, no. It is the same body. It just changes. This foolish argument, they say. It is the same body, it simply changes. This is a contradiction. How can something change and at the same time be the same? Complete contradiction. So when we challenge them, how is it the same body? Explain this nonsense. They cannot actually explain. And why this is going on? Just give me a second. Why this is going on? Because we're so absorbed in the bodily conception of life. We're so absorbed. We think, I'm a man. That is the whole root cause of sex life. This bodily illusion. Because I think I'm a man and I have a desire for a woman. Because I think I'm a woman, I have a desire to enjoy it with a man. See? But when we come to the transcendental state, when I understand I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, I'm eternal. All these bodies have changed so many times, but I still remain here. I still remain the same observer. I am observing the different changes of the body, but I am myself, I am not changed. If I was also changed, then I wouldn't be here anymore. I'll be dead and gone with a baby body. That is not the case. So there is the spirit soul, and that spirit soul is eternal. This is explained very nicely by Lord Krishna himself. Not through some dogma, not through some imposition on the mind. Very logically, the Supreme Lord, Krishna. When we speak of Krishna, we mean the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is not a Hindu god or a demigod or some mythological character. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Creator, the Supreme Controller. So the Supreme Controller, He can force us all. He can force us. He can put the knowledge in our mind immediately, just like that. But He doesn't do so. He can say, accept this, otherwise I'm going to kill you all. He can do that. He has that power. Just see, how He's controlling this material world through His different energies. One earthquake, everything is finished. The whole Canada is finished. So all the plans, all the careers, all the bank balances and everything, one shot, everything finished. That is the power of Krishna. But He doesn't do that. He doesn't interfere with the material creation. You are the cause of all these different disturbances. So this human life is very valuable, and it is the junction. So you have passed so many different lives throughout the ages, millions and millions of births, different species of life. Now we've come to the junction. In the human form of life, we can decide whether we degrade or we elevate our consciousness to transcend the platform. So these bodies are changing all the time. You can separate the baby body in so many different phases, and these different phases you can again separate into different different phases of change. Ultimately, the body has no substance. That's why it is mentioned that it is non-existent. Non-existent. And a very nice example is given here. Of course, now we have the digital cameras, but in the past there was the film strip. The movie, when we speak of movie is actually illusion. There's no such a thing as movie. It's just photographs projected one after the other, fast motion, bang, 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 like that. So when you look at the film strip, these are all different photographs, different phases of the movement. When you put this film strip into a projector, it appears on the cinema screen as a fluent movement. Similarly, this body is just different phases. The body actually has no life. Has no life. It's just different phases, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. But because the movement is so fluent, it appears as a substance. Appears as a substance. Now Krishna, he very nicely he argues that if there's no soul, if we're just a bunch of chemicals, as it is accepted in the modern world, this is accepted as a fact. And we're just a bunch of chemicals. There's the theory of evolution. This is taught in school. They might say that, oh, actually it's a theory, but actually what they do is that they teach this theory as a fact. That's why it's so difficult for us, the devotees of Krishna, with this wonderful message of the Vedas, to explain to people these very basic topics about the self, about the karma, and so on and so on, because people have been indoctrinated with this evolution theory nonsense. Actually, it is nonsense. But Krishna explains very nicely. If we're just the atoms, if we're just chemicals, then when I die, when I come to this last stage of life, nothing actually changes. Nothing changes. The same chemicals are there. The same chemicals are there. If I'm just the chemicals, if I'm the interaction of the chemicals in the mind, then the same chemicals are there in the ground where the body is put. Right? Everything can be broken down into chemicals. Right? This is the materialistic scientists who try to break it down. You know, this is not a harmonium. These are just different atoms, and they circulate one another. And then they create this illusion of an object. It is true, actually. Ultimately, these are just atoms. If we analyze deeply, you know, through microscope and so on, these are just different atoms, not different from this floor, right? There's no difference, just atoms, the same atoms everywhere, right? So, but now the challenge is, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The challenge is that if it is so, if we're just the atoms, the same atoms in my brain, same atoms in a harmonium, then why am I so afraid of dying? Why am I so much afraid of dying? Yes, you're just the chemicals, then be satisfied. Die and satisfy. Why are you trying to save the people through hospitals? Why you have police to protect people from killers? Why all this trouble if we're just a bunch of chemicals? It does not matter, because when the body dies, when the old man dies, there should be no difference of the situation. No material difference. No material difference in that situation. See? But that is not the case. That even the materialistic scientists, if we take a gun, we say, now we're going to kill you. You know, he's going to protest, he's going to cry, so many things. So actually, he's just talking nonsense philosophy, which actually he doesn't believe. And this is the nature of demons, like we're mentioning Ravan, you know. This is the definition of demons. They say that all this is just an illusion. This is just illusion. Nothing really matters. Everything is relative. There's no God, there's no cause in this life, there's no purpose. You just enjoy, and you know, before you die, just try to enjoy as much as possible. Kick on other people's faces, you know, exploit the other nations. It's fine, because ultimately we're just chemicals. We're just chemicals. It doesn't matter, right? So this is the contradiction. When we apply the theory on him, we pull a gun and we say, okay, now we're going to kill you. He's going to cry. See? So actually this is the contradiction. Very much they say, oh, we're just chemicals and so on. But when he gets the Nobel Prize for his scientific so-called theories, then he's going to grab the Nobel Prize for himself. We can say that, why are you taking the Nobel Prize? Give it to the chemicals. Give it to the chemicals in the brain. Right? You didn't come up with this theory. It was the chemicals. Give the Nobel Prize to the chemicals. Right? But no, that they will not do. I will grab the Nobel Prize for myself. I'm a big scientist. This is my profile. I'm a very big personality. What is this idea of personality? Individuality. There's no such a thing. If we're just a bunch of chemicals, there's no difference between you and me. The same chemicals in you, same chemicals in me, same chemicals in between, right? On the floor, the harmonium in the air. There's no difference. There's no differentiation. So this is how we can challenge these rascals. Why do you differentiate? Why do you differentiate? Why do we argue? Why do we argue whether there's soul or not? See? Why do we argue? You make a difference between you and me. And that is the denial. You're denying your own philosophy. You're denying your own atheistic philosophy. So Krishna is very nicely, so this is the beauty of Vedic knowledge in Bhagavad Gita and Krishna himself, that it is not dogmatic. Krishna, God himself, in this particular shloka, he's taking the side of an atheist. Taking the side of it. And, Arjuna is saying, we should not kill. Now I'm supposed to fight in this war, but this is my teacher, this is my grandfather, this is greatly immoral to kill my family members. So Krishna says that, okay, there are two options. Either you believe in the soul, and then again there's no reason to lament because the soul is eternal. They will exchange their bodies, they will get a nice fresh young body so they can enjoy very nicely. Or, if you don't believe in the existence of the soul, then again there's no reason to lament because we're just chemicals and nothing really changes by death. Right? So in this instance he's taking the atheistic point of view and he's trying to tickle our intelligence. He's trying to provoke us. Think my friend. Think about it. If we're just chemicals, nothing really changes. So I'll give you the chance to ask questions. The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to understand that I am eternal, the body is not exactly non-existent, it is real, but it is temporary. We can utilize it very nicely for self-realization. We don't have to reject the body. We utilize the body, make the best out of the bad bargain. Why are we so much absorbed in the body? Because we're not able to control our senses. Body means senses, Prabhupada says. Body means senses. We have 5 senses: seeing, smelling, touching, hearing, and tasting. And these 5 senses correspond to the 5 basic elements in the material world. This material energy consists of 5 basic elements: earth, water, fire, ether, air. So the sense of smelling applies to the element of earth. You can smell the earth as a smell. The sense of seeing applies to the element of fire. You can see a form. The sense of tasting applies to the element of water. The sense of air applies to the sense of touch. You can feel the air, right? But you cannot feel the ether. Ether is the space, but you can hear the ether. Ether means sound. So this is why so much absorbed in the body, because we're surrounded. Our senses are directly connected to these basic elements. So it's very difficult to come out of the bodily conception of life. So yoga means, it is possible actually through the practice of yoga. Yoga means control the senses. Try to control your senses. Instead of the senses controlling you, just like so many people are working so hard on so many jobs and so on and so on. Why? Because they're not able to control their senses. We're talking about a little bit about the equanimity. The more you want, the more you become conditioned. You see? So then you can see a devotee, Ramachari, just like our Ramachandra Prabhu, for example. He lives very simple life. Very simple life. No girlfriend, no boyfriend, no extra cinema, entertainment, no drugs, no so many things he has given up. So he doesn't have to go on a job and earn money, and so on and so on. See, our spiritual master says, even a millionaire, he still has to eat his 3 chapatis. He has a capacity to eat 3 chapatis. He cannot eat more than that. Even if he has billions of dollars, he can't actually enjoy because his body is limited. He can't now, if he has like thousands of chapatis, he can't, stuff it into himself, right? So by nature, we have a certain needs, certain a quota to enjoy. So there is already arrangement for that. Krishna has arranged for that foodstuff or whatever you need. It is already there in the nature. You don't have to work for it. You don't have to work for it. If you minimize your necessities, if you stop being greedy, that I have enjoyed now whatever I need. Now let me do something more. See, this is what puts us into this samsara, into the cycle. And I'm not satisfied with basic needs, and I become greedy. I want what the other guy has. I become envious. So the process of Krishna consciousness, the process of bhakti yoga, is very pleasurable. Because as opposed to the other paths, where the practitioner is trying to deny all the pleasures of the senses, trying to deny the seeing, trying to deny the hearing, trying to deny the touching, we quite the opposite. We fully engage the senses. The difference is that we use the senses in connection with Krishna. Just like now, you can see the beautiful form of Lord Chaitanya on the altar. So your seeing is engaged. But this seeing is not binding to the conditioning. This seeing actually liberates you. Similarly, hearing of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is not an ordinary sound. This is a spiritual sound. By hearing this sound, your hearing becomes purified. By tasting, soon we're going to taste Krishna Prasadam, your tongue becomes controlled. See, a devotee, why his tongue becomes controlled? Because he eats very nice prasadam. We have no restriction. We eat nice sweets, we eat nice spicy foods and all kinds of nice palatable dishes, wonderful feasts we're throwing. We have no such a thing that, this is too much good food, I should eat something very tasteless and so on. No, we fully enjoy it. But why the devotee doesn't become entangled? Because he made a vow that I will not taste anything unless it is offered before to Krishna. Sure. This is how his tongue becomes controlled. So you enjoy, and at the same time become the greatest yogi. The greatest yogi, Vishwamitra Muni, even he fell down because he did not engage in this spiritual sense gratification. He was trying to simply deny the senses. And when a heavenly prostitute, a Menaka, came, simply by hearing the ankle bells. See, in India, the girls, they have the ankle bells. Yeah. Very nice. So he was meditating very intensely, and simply when he heard Menaka's ankle bells, he broke from the trance, and actually he fell down with this heavenly prostitute. So Krishna consciousness is not like that. It is not dry. It is full of pleasure. But that pleasure is in connection with Krishna. It is not that we enjoy the seeing. It is not that we enjoy the hearing. It is not that we enjoy the prasadam. We are serving. We're serving Krishna in this way. We're serving Krishna. We're not trying to enjoy Krishna. We're serving Krishna. Most of the people, they try to enjoy Krishna. They try to enjoy his energies. They try to exploit his energies. And that is the cause of the entanglement. The more you try to be the controller, the more you try to be the enjoyer, there is the reaction, karma. Karma means action, reaction. If you think you are the enjoyer of your work, you work hard, but then you want to enjoy the result, then you become the cause of your action. And then, because you're the cause of your action, you have to take the reaction. To take another birth, to take the reaction.
Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya.
Avyaktadini bhutani
Avyaktadini bhutani
Vyaktamadhyani bharata
Yaktamadhyani bharata
Avyaktani dhanani eva
Avyaktam vivani nedam
Tatraka paridevana.
Tatrata paridevanam.
Translation. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when they're annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Accepting that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of soul and the other not believing in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet, even if, for argument's sake, we accept the atheistic theory, is there any question on the topic?
Not on the topic, no, off topic.
It's a question on the topic.
Yes?
Well, I was going to say as a statement, but it could be a question too. Why are we tied so much into our desires in life? Being that like our goals for monetary, emotional needs. I can't really put it as a question, but what is actually wrong with actually valuing one's own personal life, the importance of this frame, this being we are in our current state? What's wrong with like actually like trying to preserve it?
Well, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong, but we should understand scientifically. Because I am eternal, I can never enjoy that which is temporary. So it goes against my own interest to work for something that I cannot enjoy.
Well, you can work in a beautiful garden and enjoy the smell of flowers.
What is enjoyment, first of all? For example, I put you in a beautiful garden. I give you everything you like, everything you ever dreamed of. I'll give you,
peaches.
not just that, but even like I bring Michael Jackson or whoever your, famous personality you always wanted to meet. I'm gonna bring him there. Everything you ever wished for.
Okay.
You have it there. You enjoy it.
Yep.
Under one condition, that after 1 hour I come and I shoot you.
Okay.
Would you enjoy it?
Yes, I would. I'd enjoy it very much.
You would enjoy it.
Yeah. I do my best to enjoy all I can before you come by and shoot me.
Okay, but wouldn't you want to enjoy it forever?
No, not me.
You would like to...
I wouldn't want to enjoy it forever because it wouldn't be enjoyable after that point. The reason why things are so enjoyable is because they're unique in its particular state.
Yes, that's why I ask, what is enjoyment? You know?
Enjoyment is appreciating the moment for what it is. That's going to be temporary and so, at the same time, even so finite, but yet so epically precious because the very moment of experience, the now, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but now is not temporary. When you say now, that is not temporary.
I think it's both temporary and
temporary has the beginning and end.
Well,
but
that is
now
temporary.
Is forever.
Now is forever. Yes.
Yeah.
So see, this is real enjoyment, and you want the eternal. You want the eternal, just like you can observe this that we want to have eternal situation. Permanent situation. Like for example, we have rented this apartment. Now if the landlord comes right now and he's gonna say, okay, now you get out right now. Take all your stuff and get out. Otherwise I'm gonna call police or something. It's gonna be a big disturbance. Right? You wanna have a permanent place, apartment, a lease, you sign a lease, so that you can do your activities in peace.
And that's why we should enjoy every moment, because we might lose it.
Yes, but if you're not in the moment, if your mind is always in the past or in the future, you are not actually enjoying. You know, you might be, for example, you might be taking foodstuff, delicious food. You might go to some wonderful restaurant, and you ordered the best food, most expensive, and so on and so on.
Yep.
And you're eating it, but actually someone died. Your father or mother died, you know, very grievous thing. You're eating the food, but with your mind, you're always contemplating about your mom or dad, and you're really not there.
You're not enjoying.
You're not enjoying actually, because you're not there.
Okay.
You see? So when we speak of real enjoyment, it is the enjoyment which never stops. It is eternal enjoyment.
With Krishna.
With Krishna, that's right. And what we're trying to do here is that we want to have that eternal pleasure
Yep.
through the means of matter. And that's why we can never enjoy one material thing forever. There's a saturation point. We want varieties, you know?
Yeah.
If I say that now you sit here for the next 50 years
I mean,
in this
of course,
same position, you're just gonna go crazy,
Right.
right? Because we want varieties.
Exactly.
We want varieties. But matter, I just finished this thought. Matter is temporary, and that's why we constantly frustrated and constantly changing our situation.
Yeah, but
and
that's what causes growth in the system and change. Because the thing is that, like, I believe, like, the reason why, when we talk about humanity here, it's the reason why we actually have desires and the propensity to value life so much, or the value of destruction of other forces, is because, well, not because, I'm not going to say I do know particularly, but this is an assumption. That is that I think it's because we have an idea of what's ideal, what isn't ideal.
That's right.
Every human being has different
Yes.
perceptions of what's ideal and not ideal.
Yes, yes.
And I think that when we're talking about Krishna consciousness, it's a good example of how the underlying theme is either love or destruction, you know, or love and fear, more particularly.
Mhm.
And the idea of the Krishna consciousness is more like a form of love. And the reason why we're trying to tap into this love is to overcome our fears. But the only way we can overcome our fears is by facing them in the first place. And I think the only way we can do that is by experiencing life in different lifetimes, to overcome these fears in each lifetime, to basically become a better engine for Krishna. Right?
Not necessarily.
But like we do, but we
Not
do have
necessarily.
mistakes though.
Not necessarily, because if you say like this, yeah, it is so. In one sense, it is so. We're going through many experiences and we're learning the hard way.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like the two go simultaneously. At the same time, Krishna himself comes here and he tells us the answer. You know, which brings us back to the introductory discussion we had. There are two ways how to acquire knowledge: the descending process and the ascending, the experimental way, or taking the knowledge from the authority.
Right.
You know, ultimately, actually, we going through both, because even if you accept the authority, you have to realize through experience what is the meaning of what the authority says.
I completely agree.
So they go simultaneously, but sometimes we get confused. We think that my limited perception is the absolute, and vice versa. We think that what God says is relative. You know, many people think that many times people say when we distribute books on the street, we tell them this is a book about God, you know, and they say, which God? So that question actually exposes that they don't understand who God is.
Right.
Because God is the absolute supreme.
It's an underlying theme that no religion could ever break out of. It's actually,
Yes.
regardless what religion you basically wave, in the end is always the same force. The same basic precepts are basically in all of these religions, you know?
Yes.
Hinduists?
Yeah. And the thing I never understood was, I mean, actually, I'm not gonna get into that. It's a whole different topic. Let's stay out of
Anyway,
that
just
now.
so I bring it back to what you were asking. There's a value in a material when we use it for Krishna. So, as opposed to the impersonalist school of thought, they say that everything is Maya and it should be denied. We don't say like that. We say that the body and material things can be utilized in Krishna's service, and then they revive their original spiritual nature. So we don't reject anything, because ultimately even matter is coming from Krishna.
Right.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
But the problem is that because we're accustomed to exploit matter, to enjoy matter unnecessarily, we need to, first of all, there's some level of renunciation needed. And that is why this system of converting material energy into spiritual, we have to accept a spiritual master. We have to accept a spiritual master who guides us, because we're very much imperfect. We might be thinking I'm using this for Krishna, but actually, what my real motivation is, I want to utilize it for my own sense gratification. It's very tricky, So that's why we need a spiritual master who will help us to distinguish the false ego and the real self. You see? And spiritual master, the word spiritual master actually explains it. He is the master of spirit. He knows how to convert matter into spirit. So the first qualification, the first phase of understanding the Vedic knowledge is to take shelter of such a qualified spiritual master. And under his guidance, then whatever we do, we can dovetail in Krishna's service. So it becomes spiritual. And the Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful example of that. Arjuna was not a monk. He was a very much a man of the world, engaged in politics and war. He was a politician. He was a soldier. And he wanted to give up his occupational duty. He wanted to go to Himalayas and chant on the beats. But Krishna says, no, don't do that. You continue in your occupation. Simply give the result to me. Dedicate your action to me. Then your action becomes spiritual. It becomes a service to me. So we say that you don't have to give up. If you have some monetary aspiration, you want to earn money, or you want to do something in this world, you don't have to give it up, but do it for Krishna. Do it for Krishna. Dedicate the result so Krishna is served. Then whatever you do becomes spiritualized. Yes, please.
Is Krishna the Christ?
Krishna is the Father.
He's the firstborn Son of God.
And Lord Jesus Christ is the Son
of
God.
It's not the same?
Krishna is the Father and Lord Jesus Christ is the Son.
Yeah, like Lord Jesus Christ, he says, I am the Son. O Father who art in heaven,
Yep.
hallowed be thy name.
So the Father in heaven is Krishna.
It's Krishna, yes.
What about the name Jehovah? Where does that come from?
The Jehovah, I was asking the other day someone the meaning of the word Jehovah. It means I am that I am.
I am that I am.
So that is not real name. That is not real name. No. If I ask you, hi, my name is Purujit, what is your name? You say, I am who I am. I am that I am.
It's only a realization. It's not a name.
Yeah, it's just like, please don't bother me.
Yeah. Could I have met you at Gitopanishad Metro sometime?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, we go there quite often.
I think you tried to sell me a Gita.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I do. Okay, any other questions or comments?
You're talking about not denying material senses, but doesn't that kind of